What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. It's Breakfast with the Canes. It is Saturday morning, 9:32 a.m. Eastern time. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you guys joining us. One of my favorite shows of the week. Just kind of catching up, getting ready. Although Saturday morning is going to be a little different going forward because we're going to start previewing games and getting ready for football, man. So it's here. This is the last, it's not even the last Saturday without college football because we got college football today. We'll talk about that game a little bit later. But first, I want to talk about some DBs. We're going to go through all the defensive backs, the safeties, the corners, really understanding how that position has transformed. Because I think when you look at this team, that particular transformation is really the story of the offseason among, over everything else. It's the first thing you're going to notice on the practice field. I think it's going to be the biggest impact on the team. We didn't need a transformation because they were always on point. That's Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here. Oh, there he is. There. Whoa. There he is. How we doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Morning,
Nothing
man.
like a Saturday mornings in the fall, man. Got football on the TV, and then American football later today. So
yeah, I was at a fantasy football draft, American football draft, and everybody was trying to sell me on soccer. They're out there like smoking cigarettes in their Adidas, trying to make me European. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen out here. We got the World Baseball Classic in March. We're preparing for that.
What does the Adidas have to do with it? You could be wearing Adidas in it could be a Canes thing, man. So I'm wearing Adidas right here. It's Real Madrid, but we obviously got the Canes. We'll see, man. Should be. Well, I'm gonna try. I need to track that story more, man. This is right. The last year, I think spring is Miami's last year here with Adidas. I think they're gonna renew based on what I know at this point. But that'll be an interesting one to track. You see what Tennessee just got $20 million a year from Adidas. That'll be a lucrative deal for Miami whenever that happens.
Yeah, no, look, I actually like Adidas. I mean, I wear it and I like it for UM stuff. I like the throwback kind of uniform. I'm not into all the different redesigns. I know young people like that. I get it, but to me, it looks corny. This college football, I like Nebraska looking like Nebraska. I like Alabama looking like Alabama. I like Michigan looking like Michigan. And I certainly like Miami looking like Miami. So I'm not into all that other stuff, but others are. So I get it. For me, Adidas does what it needs to do. But I know people have strong opinions on this topic. It's not something I'm an expert in. That's for sure. I'm wearing a $8 Goodfellas shirt from Target. That's probably 90% of what you see me wearing on these shows. Although we do have merch. I wear that Canes Inside shirt every single day. You see that merch there on the bottom of the YouTube screen. That stuff that was, you did a good job with that, Pete. That shirt fits like a glove. Shout out to your fashion design background.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. HTA says Pete has gone from the brow to the wow. Keep up the training, Pete. You got to show that to the saleswoman.
I'm not sure what I'm doing right now to show that off, but I appreciate it.
Tell the saleswoman of the year / TV star to show her that message. You're making an impact out here. So we got to appreciate everybody on the show this morning. We've been going through position by position, just kind of breaking down where we stand at the end of camp. And it's kind of like a no man's land. It's basically after camp, not full on Notre Dame prep. I think we're getting close to that, but we'll call it the end of camp. I just want to talk about this particular group. We'll start with the safeties, Pete. But I think in overall, the defensive backs, this is a story of this team right now, is the transformation of this room, physically, athletically, experience-wise, production-wise, just overall upside and ability to kind of let those guys do what they do and not to protect them so much.
Yeah, we had the back and forth about the body types earlier this summer, D, and I think that might still be up for debate at certain spots, but one spot that you could see the difference immediately, defensive back in terms of year over year progress, and definitely we talked to a lot of different people. You had Seth on yesterday, Jose Orchid Man on the day before that, and there's a lot of people who are at practice who kind of see guys for the first time, and see position groups for the first time when they get up close to it. And defensive back was always the first one that was mentioned, right? And I think that right there is going to be a step in the right direction. You still got to get these guys to play together, and we'll get into a lot of the details there. But body types wise, without a doubt, you've taken a step in the right direction. Body type and just pure athleticism with the Bryce Fitzgeralds of the world, who I know you're pumped up about. Just adding a lot of speed to that room, dynamic athleticism. A Keontae Scott with his return ability, I think he's gonna make some plays this year in terms of the turnover department. That flip some momentum. So yeah, excited about this group as a whole. I think you have a good mix of size, speed, some playmaking ability, some guys like a Chuck Brantley who is not the biggest in the world, but is going to be pesky in coverage and has a lot of experience at the high level here. So, yeah, excited about this group.
Yeah, like you said, it's the first impression. A lot of people who go to practice a lot kind of have, which I'm big on first impressions. Those typically pan out. It's like blink scouting, some people call it. I believe in that. By the way, let us know. We've been bringing on these, supporters of the team, guys that go to practice. Not necessarily the big names that everybody knows, but these are the people that actually know what's going on. So if you guys like that, let us know. We'll do that more often. It's just one of those things where everybody says, I got a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy who's a Golden Cane, who's friends with but whatever that goes to practice. So I figured let's cut out the middleman and let's bring you exactly what's going on inside. But let's start with safety, Pete. Position that was much maligned last year. Mish Powell, very good job. Ball production, making plays on the ball. Good, representative of the University of Miami. I think physicality, that was one area maybe wanted to improve, just the ability to strike a little more. And then that's Jaden Harris's spot. He just had a rough year. First game looked awesome against Florida. Looked pretty good in camp. He didn't know it was going to be that much of a struggle, but he lost confidence, lost just the feel, and it was ugly all year. I mean, this was probably one of the worst safety groups I've seen in a long, long time for the Miami Hurricanes, and I think it's one area where Miami needs to make a significant improvement. And talking to you offline, I mean, it sounds like you think we've made some improvement there.
Yeah, I think last year it was like the holy trinity. Like you didn't have athleticism, you didn't have physicality, and the IQ wasn't there as a whole. I think, like you said, Mish Powell had some really good moments and was a solid player for Miami without a doubt. But he was about the lone bright spot at times. And then again, like you lack that physical presence, right? So we've talked about it a lot. You didn't have someone to clean things up on the back end. Hopefully you don't have to, they're not getting to the second and third level as consistently as they were, as freely as they were last year. So you don't have to rely on that. But yes, I feel better than I did even in the spring, right? And Jacoby Thomas, bringing him in was a nice pickup. I don't know if skeptical was the word, but I was still wait and see. And I think obviously we all still have to be wait and see on all these guys because they haven't played a game in the orange and green yet. But I think what you've seen from Jacoby Thomas is a guy that's an upgrade over what you had last year in the role that he's going to be playing. Someone who, when I said I was wait and see with him, it's just a guy who leaves the SEC, and it didn't really seem like Tennessee, from what I understand, tried to keep him around for whatever reason. I was kind of like, let's see what the deal is here. Like Tennessee normally doesn't just let guys walk, right? But I think he's done a good job in terms of in coverage, because that was my main question with him. I don't think he's a liability out there in any sense. You're going to see him playing up, I think, near the line of scrimmage a lot, matched up against tight ends. But the mentality he brings back there is really nice. And then Poyser, I think, is a future top 3-round draft pick, top 100 type pick, if he continues on the trajectory he's on.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think when you watch SEC games on the defensive side of the ball, it just sounds different at times, at least from how we were last year. So, for example, I was watching the Texas A&M Notre Dame game from last year, the season opener. It was the same day that we beat Florida. What was the final score of that? 41-17? that blowout victory over the Gators. That same night, we were all together at Dave & Buster's watching that game, and I went back and rewatched it to kind of get ready for the Notre Dame previews that we're going to be doing next week. And Texas A&M was a very talented defense, a good defense, but it was not like dominant necessarily. But just being a strong SEC defense, you see right when the whistle blows and right when the game starts, right when the ball snapped, I mean, there are guys flying all over the place, popping pads. It just sounds different. It looks different from an urgency standpoint, from a striking standpoint. It's one of those things where beyond just the X's and O's of the whole deal, you just could feel the difference when you have safeties that are that locked in, that are that twitched up, that can go and make those kind of plays and set the tone for a defense. I think you saw that when if you just turn on the tape at Texas A&M against Notre Dame, you're sitting there and you're saying, man, I don't think our defense played like this very much last year. And Texas A&M, again, that's not a huge expectation for what they did last year. You're not comparing it to the absolute best defense in the country. So I think the reason I'm saying that is Zechariah Poyser was the target of Georgia to replace Malachi Starr, first-round pick. We know Georgia, talk about tone setting and physicality, they are probably the gold standard on that front. Tennessee last year, one of the best defenses in the country. Jacoby Thomas was a lock to start this year and played a lot last year. So you have two SEC safeties that play that way, that like to hit. Certainly Thomas, that is his bread and butter, knocking people back. He is a headhunter by trade, and he's huge. Poyser, to me, a very complete defensive back. Great athlete coming out of Wildwood, Florida. We talked to Larry Bluestein about him on one of the shows earlier this week, which was a great interview. If you've seen it with Larry Bluestein. Basketball player, wide receiver, has had production, taking the ball away. I think he has 4 career interceptions, redshirt freshman All-America. Can cover, line up, and play the slide. He has that ability as well. He can turn. He's got length. And then he can strike too. So he's just a well-rounded guy. So I think both of those guys, early on in the Notre Dame game, you'll see them flying around, and it's going to, at least I think, it'll feel much more like, take you back to like Redwine and Jaquan Johnson, right? As far as not a comparison to players, just you felt our safeties in that era. Like you felt them on the field. Their energy, their tackling, their striking, their ability to really quickly diagnose and hit it hard. And I think that's what Miami's trying to get back to. And I think based on what I've seen in camp and what you've seen from those guys at their other stops, that you will see a significant step in that direction when we play games here in the fall.
Yeah, and then I think you just got to feel way better about the depth of that group, right? Because with all the issues you had at the position last year, fans were coming on here and asking, man, why don't they try one of these other guys? Why doesn't a Zaquan Patterson get more reps? Why doesn't a Markeith Williams get more reps? Unfortunately, we've seen, a lot of this stuff ends up coming to light. Hopefully Zaquan Patterson gets together, but like you saw, they didn't have someone there that they could trust at that spot last year. You saw Markeith. I'm excited. You and I have been fans of his. We understand the deficiencies in terms of the physicality, but I just think in coverage, if he can play that certain free safety role back there for you, he can cover a lot of ground. So I think he's taken steps. I think Bryce Fitzgerald, I know you're going to want to talk about him. A comment here from the Jet 305 saying Fitz is going to push for heavy snaps. Listen, ain't no pushing. He's going to get snaps. He's going to get a good amount of snaps. And then Dylan Day, I've been a fan of this guy since last year, in the special teams department. He's put some good weight on. From what I understand, he's had a good camp too. Like he's put himself in position where he deserves some reps here as well.
100%. Let's get to these backup guys, but quick comment from Canes 305 says, D, saw you at the team store. This is the Miami Hurricane team store, MiamiHGS.com. If you're online, had a huge event with Mario Cristobal yesterday. I swung by. It was awesome. I mean, line out the door, meet and greet Mario. I heard he was great talking to people. Just a great vibe. A lot of people buying some cool stuff. Canes 305 says, I saw you at the team store, but you were in the middle of a conversation. Then you were gone in the blink of an eye. Yeah, man. Sorry I missed you. Don't be shy. Walk up, especially if you see me talking to someone I'm trying to impress, like a sponsor or my wife. Definitely interrupt. Say what's up. Say how much you love the show, so I can impress the people that need to impress. But no, man, I'm just kidding. Say what's up whenever. I'll be around. I'm sorry I missed you, but it was a fun event yesterday. I hope you guys had a good time. T. West asking, who's the biggest surprise at safety, and could Damari Brown with his size move to safety? On the second question, I'll say Damari Brown could move to safety. I don't think he will because he's playing so good at corner. And I think that's where he's going to be until he proven otherwise. And then biggest surprise, I would say Bryce Fitzgerald just becoming such a factor in this group. But you mentioned this. So let's start with the guys that have been here a little bit as backups and guys who can play in here, which is going to be Markeith Williams and Dylan Day. Start with Dylan Day, versatile player at Louisiana. We both liked him a long time. Sheldrick Redwine's my comp. Just a guy that can play some corner, can play some safety, really excelled on special teams, and that's what got him on the field, at least in the case of Redwine. Now Dylan Day's in that process of going from great special teams player to a defensive player. And I think he's going to help us, man. I think what we're seeing now with this team, and knock on wood, the injuries continue to be what they are, which is a very healthy team. You haven't needed to rely on Dylan Day like you thought you might, because you have veteran starters that are playing well, and you have young guys that are pushing just alongside him. But he's somebody who I think is a slow burn to be a starter here and will be a starter here. And by the time he gets his opportunity with his physicality, which he showed on special teams, with his speed, which he showed on special teams, a really good 200-meter sprinter, and the ability to play, some coverage. He's not a box safety. This guy was a corner in high school.
He's very capable. He's very capable in coverage, though. He's not a stiff guy out there, I don't think.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And then Markeith, he's gained weight. He's in his fourth year. He's matured a lot. He played corner in the Iowa State game because we needed someone to play corner, and he has that kind of movement skills, hips, athletic ability. I like the way he's played overall. I know the consistency is always kind of something he's trying to improve on, but he plays fast. He plays like someone who's been around, and I think if that's your third, fourth safety, you're not doing that bad with a guy like that who has started games, former four-star player, just providing depth in the portal era where guys like that go to, West Virginia and start or whatever, pick a random team, Purdue. I feel pretty good that a guy like that, instead of starting for one of those kind of teams, is providing depth here.
He was one of those Manny recruits.
You're right. So the Manny recruits would be him. Well, but he signed with Cristobal because Cristobal.
Yeah, but he's still, he was that to me. If they committed when the coach was there, that's a guy that was identified and initially won over by the Manny staff. I give that staff a lot of hard times, but I'll give him that one.
Yeah, I guess it would be him, Ryan Rodriguez, who was an actual Manny signee who's been here forever.
Chase,
Wesley Basanti. He committed right when Manny was about to get fired. So I think it was,
and yeah, that was Mario. Definitely closed that one up. I'll give Mario that one.
Yeah, so I think that's it. There might be a couple others. But a lot of those guys are out the door, sadly. That DB class did not pan out. Chris Graves is a good player for Ole Miss, but he had character issues. I think that kind of carried him to Ole Miss. He's been in trouble a little bit over there, but he was really talented. I don't know if anyone else has done anything. Kamari Rogers, I don't think has done anything. Jaden Harris, he's at Georgia now. Hopefully he can bounce back a little bit, but I don't think those DBs panned out too strong. Certainly not like the guys we got right now that we're going through. So we've been beating around the bush here with this one because we've gotten questions about it. We've talked about him so much on the show. I believe we were the first ones to really say, hey, guys, circle this name. He's making a lot of waves. Bryce Fitzgerald, your fellow Columbus Explorer. The question him was tackling. So far, so good on that front. But the athletic ability and ball skills this guy has, I have to go back a long time, man, to figure out a safety we've had. Maybe I'm missing someone. Let me know in the chat if we've got some exceptionally athletic safeties that I'm just not.
Avante Williams, I would say, was a plus athlete. I don't know if he was as fast as this, but Avante was pretty freakish, man.
He was explosive, but no comparison. I would say honestly, no comparison because Avante didn't have this kind of. He
didn't run. He definitely didn't run the same.
He wasn't as fast. He wasn't as smooth. He didn't have the ball skills. He was like an explosive guy, but I think his rating kind of carried him a little bit. He had talent, but I think his rating kind of carried him a little bit. I would go back to maybe like that Rayshon Jenkins, Deion Bush class, 2012, which was in retrospect, that was the last safety class. We had two really, really good safety classes that I can think of. Maybe I'm missing them. 2012, we signed Rayshon Jenkins and Deion Bush, which was an awesome tandem. They both played tons of years in the NFL. Deion Bush unfortunately got hurt this last training camp, so his career might be done. And then
Kai Hester was a pretty big recruit a couple years after that.
He was, and he played for Rutgers. He was a pretty decent player for Rutgers. But in terms of class, those two, which is a nasty safety group, and then multi-year pros, should have been All-Americans here, but we didn't have Manny the whole time, and Banda. Then in 2015, which was a terrible class on paper, like that was the one where Golden was like basically running on fumes. We signed Redwine and Jaquan Johnson, who ended up being a really good safety pair for us as well. So we signed some athletic safeties, but honestly, with Bryce Fitzgerald, you got to go back a long way because just from an athletic standpoint, I don't know how
certainly the fastest safety you've had in how long? Because all those guys, like Redwine ended up running pretty well, but like Jaquan was slow.
Yep.
That was the only thing holding him back. You know, he wasn't the biggest player in the world either, but if he was fast, he would have been a top 3 round pick.
100%.
You know, Rayshon obviously was a really good athlete, but again, he wasn't running like this. Dion ran 4.4s, but I think Bryce might. I mean, he's going to be low 4.4s, high 4.3s when the time comes.
He already is. I mean, he already is. He ran, I want to say 4.42 laser in the spring before his senior year.
Some guys get slower though because with added weight. So I'm just saying, like he'll be in that range. Like,
but he's a 100-meter guy too, which is why I lean towards the high number on him because he ran a 10.68 win aided, which is insane. And then I think he ran like a 10.8. Fits his best coverage since Reed. There's a lot of things.
Listen, you wanted to. Someone else said that you were going to compare him to Sean Taylor. They're best in Sean Taylor. So people are catching on to your comparisons here. You held yourself back a little bit though.
Well, look, we have to see the tackling. I'm just talking about athleticism right now. All right. So now we're just talking about the athletic part of the equation. Sheldrick Redwine was probably one of our best testers, believe it or not. And you mentioned it at the combine. He ran like 4.4 and he jumped out of the gym. Yeah. If you look at the numbers, Redwine in terms of track, this is his senior year. All his PRs, 11.3 in the 100. This guy ran a 4.4 at the combine, 11.3 at the 100, and then he ran in the 200, 23.26. Go to Bryce Fitzgerald, 10.68 in the 100, 21.9 in the 200. Also won a state championship in basketball. Also an elite kick returner. Also a very good receiver who destroyed Western running right by him. And then also with Bryce, like I said, he ran a 4.4 laser as a high school junior going into his senior year. That's those high school laser times. Just to give you perspective, Redwine's high school laser time is a 4.4 combine guy was 4.77. So just putting into perspective, taking some of our best athletes in terms of testing at the combine at this position and what Fitzgerald is. The basketball, you could see it the way he plays. He's just so smooth and coordinated. The ability to take the ball away, we've talked about a ton. He's very comparable to Cam Kitchens in that respect. Just everything in the air. Seems like he has just a homing bean on, and he's chasing that thing down. But then the thing I think you don't even hear about as much as the picks, this guy can cover. He's smooth and coordinated. So, like, if he has to line up against someone and cover him, if he's just trying to take away a pass so someone doesn't throw the ball to a certain route, he is so just under control and athletic. He is a difference-making talent, man. There's no other way to say it. If he continues to play physically the way he's been playing, he's got plenty of size. He's 190. Look, Night King, which, by the way, you want to know who the biggest plug is in the chat, is my guy Night King right here, the original number 8. And he's saying, D-Money, you watch Bryce Fitzgerald all can't make plays. Eyes don't lie, people. Don't take it from me, man. Take it from number 8. This guy knows ball. He's been one of the best players in Broward County in his era, and he's been out there. So Night King is someone that I promise you want to listen to. And he's telling you right there, watch Bryce Fitzgerald all fall can't make plays. Eyes don't lie. So we'll see again Notre Dame. I think he's going to play. How much? We'll find out. I think obviously a lot depends on his performance. If he starts off good, he'll play more. If he has struggles, they'll ease him in slower. But I just think we've been asking for impact talents at safety, not, like Malachi Starks, right? KJ Bolden, Caleb Downs. I'm not saying he's those guys. I'm saying other teams have had high draft pick safeties that we have not been able to get. And I think if you're looking for who can be that on this roster, number 13 on defense, Bryce Fitzgerald, that's going to be the one.
I think George wants us to answer his question about Will Harris. He's asked a couple of times. That's probably why he wants to make sure it's coming through. He's asking if he's a known developer of talent or a better recruiter. What's his rep? Time will tell. Time will tell. I don't like to make judgments on coaches within their first 6 months, within their first, when you have a good idea when the season comes here, in terms of the coaching, because we think the talent's a lot better. But at the same time, and I don't like to make judgments based on where they were before, because I think every coach's situation is different in, where they are right now. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm not gonna go one way or the other on it yet.
I agree totally, Pete. I have the same approach. What I would add to it is, I think the performance of the Gator defensive backs over the course of the year, right, where they started off really bad. I mean, they might as well not even shown up when we played them. They got better over the course of the year, and I don't think they were that talented. That is a good sign for Will Harris. And I know before he left, he got a lot of credit internally with those guys. They were all saying, hey, Will Harris coaching these guys up. So I take that, as a good evidence. But, like you said, we don't really know. Ghostface, by the way, Supreme Clientele 2, out now. I got to listen to it. I got it on my phone. I know that's on your playlist there, Pete, that new Supreme Clientele. But Ghostface saying Bando was a great coach. He really was, man. Remember everybody used to make fun of him, call him the bartender and all this stuff. And now the guy's coaching safeties in the NFL.
And was actually landing blue chip recruits there too. So.
And turning our guys, Sheldrick Redwine and Jenkins and Carter, Jamal Carter, who ended up being a linebacker in the pros. Those guys, all of whom made the pros, by the way.
There's a reason he's in the NFL now. There's a reason he's in the league. Like it shows something.
Hassan saying, please tell me we'll sell out the game. Yeah, this game will be sold out. Don't even.
We've been getting a lot of questions with that, D, and tell me if you're wrong, but like, as people who are, in this Canes community, I don't know about you, but people reach out to me to see if I have ticket connects all the time, which I have no connection for. But like, I think the vibe is kind of like, man, these tickets are expensive. Like, I want to wait until they drop or something. So I think you're going to get like an influx at the end of people just who have been waiting, trying to get a deal, who just say, man, let me just get in there. I'm just going to get in there. I'm going to get in the upper deck. I don't care at this point because I'm just pumped up for the game. I think you're going to see a lot of that, but that's because it's the prices are what they are because it is the game that it is. But I think that's more what it is than anything. They're not going to drop, as Canes Catseal 305 says, they're not going to drop. And he's someone who knows the ticket industry, but like, I think that's just why people have waited to pull the trigger.
I agree with you. It'll be sold out. So, and if people want to go, they'll go. It's just going to cost a lot of money. And the more you wait, the longer, more it costs. That's kind of usually how it goes for these hot ticket items. But yeah, Bryce, I would put in that group. We talked about the back. One name we got to talk about here before we get to the next one. Bobby Pruitt, right? So Bobby Pruitt, we usually talk about him in the linebacker group. He can do a lot of different things. I think you're going to see him being used all over the place. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about him here while we talk about the safeties, because he is playing more safety than he had in the past. Someone who played safety in high school is certainly athletic enough to play that position, fast, played receiver, was a big play receiver in Mobile, Alabama. Guy can run. He's put on weight. He's gotten stronger. He looks big. I'm actually surprised he was still athletic enough to play safety, but that's how athletic he is and how well he's carrying the weight. That's another way to get him on the field with his versatility. And I think we hyped him up a lot. People have heard us talk about Pruitt. He did play last year. He was on the field in Syracuse, forced a fumble against Syracuse. But I think you'll continue to see Pruitt play, and his ability now to play more safety than he did last year. Now, now that he's gotten his feet wet a little bit, that just gives him even more chances to get on the field.
Yep. Huge fan of his. And, you've got a pretty loaded room at linebacker, as we were talking about yesterday. And I think that's a way that you get, especially against some teams that are maybe trying to be more physical. That's another way to get one of those guys on the field. D, real quick, it's Saturday morning. We got a week from now. Obviously, we won't be getting ready for our game just yet. That'll be Sunday, which will be at the Licking, as we announced yesterday for that game day. But I know a lot of people are going to be tailgating. Even if you're not, maybe you're national, maybe you're not coming to the game, but you need your goods for game day, and you're going to get that at Lomello's Meat Market. Nationwide shipping. Lomello's have the storefront on 98th and US 1, about 10 minutes south of campus. And you got the Wagyu, you got the Australian, you got the Japanese, you got the American, and then you got the Prime also. So if you don't want to splurge on the Wagyu, you go with Prime, which is top of the shelf stuff, and then promo code CIS10 at checkout for 10% off. Again, Lomello's. Check out lomellos.com. This is the best stuff, man. This is what Mario, this is what the recruits eat. This is what JT, Jason Taylor is eating, Alex Mirabal. So go check it out, guys. Best in the business.
What country do you guys the top country for meat?
Going good old Americans. How about that?
There we go. I was worried with all your international soccer lifestyle. I'm glad you still keep it red, white, and blue out here.
Of course, but no, they've got the international flair out there. So good, and it's not just steaks. You got everything. You got burgers. You got sausages. So highly recommend it, guys.
Interesting question here. We're still talking about the safeties, because I want to get to a couple more guys here. But Kyle asks, who'd win in a race between Bryce Fitzgerald, Xavier Lucas, Gerard Pringle, and Marion? Depends on the distance. But if you're talking about 100-meter race, which we have times on all four of those guys because they all ran, Xavier Lucas, believe it or not. Xavier Lucas is 10.49.
And I think with how tall he is, it kind of aids him a bit there. I'll go Lucas, Bryce, and Pringle. That's a tough one for me. I don't know who wins.
Yeah, they're both in that 10.8 range. But Pringle didn't run as a senior because he wasn't.
Yeah, I would say Bryce, then Pringle, then Marion.
Yeah, to be fair to Pringle and to Marion, I don't know about Marion, but certainly Pringle. Pringle is the one of those, because Bryce and Lucas were Catholic school kids or private school kids that didn't graduate early. So they ran track as seniors. That's when they had those great times. Pringle was a 10.8 kid as a junior, didn't get to run as a senior because he was here. So Pringle could have come in, ran 10.3. You don't know. I mean, he is lightning. He's going to have a major impact on this team. He looks fast in pads, more importantly than anything. They all do, but Pringle is not one of these track star guys that doesn't play running back. Pringle is a running back that can run track. So Night King's saying Pringle. He's seen some of those runs in practice. He knows that the Pringle has got juice. Shout out to the Pringle family. They're always out there. But man, he's a real running back. And we talk about freshmen playing all the time. I should talk more about Pringle playing because he is going to play. I can't see a world where Pringle does not get his opportunity.
So different. He's so different than everything else you have. Like I've said it from the beginning. People in the O-line room like him because you get a little bored watching these. I don't want to call them plotting. They aren't plotting, and that's not what it is. But even Lyle, who has that explosive nature, he's still a bigger back, like 205, 210, who's bouncing off of people. And Pringle, he's breaking tackles too, but it's just it just looks so different when he's got the ball in his hands. He's kind of gliding out there, and it's very, very difficult for defenses to kind of recalibrate when they've been looking at a certain style all game.
It's like facing pitchers, right? Different speeds will look different, and Pringle's a different look. And if you are, like you said, not calibrated, you're kind of so used to getting pounded by Fletcher and Jordan Lyle and Marty Brown, and this guy comes in and runs by you, and that's a 6-point mistake if you're not timed up on it. So, I think that is an interesting changeup. That's the safety. Amari Wallace, I should mention also, a guy that can make plays. Not the biggest guy, but one of these classic South Florida defensive backs who's just very aggressive, has a nose for the ball, doesn't mind a hit. I think he's one guy that the more he plays in actual games, the more you'll see how good he is, because he's just one of those South Florida defensive backs that goes to Louisville or even sometimes Western Michigan. And then you see him and you're like, how is this guy not on the Canes? He's making every single play. So I think that's kind of where Amari Wallace is. Had that injury as a senior. He's back from that. So, I'm impressed with Amari Wallace. I think probably he's not as advanced as Bryce, because Bryce is just so unique athletically that he can really make that impact faster. Plus, Bryce is heavier than Wallace. Bryce is like 190. So I think that's getting him on the field, just the physical tools and that unique skill set against the pass. But Amari is a player for sure. Kyle's saying, D, you've been talking for years about the need to upgrade athleticism in the secondary. Lucas and Fitz helped that tremendously. Yeah, man, honestly, all these guys we're talking about are helping that. This has been the most overhauled group. Anyone at safety, P? I think we covered that group pretty good.
Isaiah Taylor. I think he deserves to be mentioned. Corey Heatherman singled him out last week in his press conference as someone who is always in the right place at the right time, will be a guy on special teams who plays. So I don't want to forget him.
No, I was going to save him for the nickel discussion, but hey, let's do it right now. Let's talk nickels. Well, let's lump him in with the safeties, because that's where for those who don't go to practice, the nickels and the safeties practice together. So maybe we should put them in the same category. So let's talk nickels here. Keionte Scott, starting nickel. I did an interview with him for Storm Sessions. Great young man. Strongly recommend checking out that interview on Canes All Access, talking to Keionte Scott. He's just a really, really engaging young man from California. It's been a long journey. He's been bouncing around school to school to school to school, just trying to be identified, trying to get exposure, and then finally gets his big break. Goes to Auburn, one of the best nickels in the country. Went to junior college first and goes to Auburn. Was one of the best nickels in the country. Looked like he was going to be an NFL draft pick. Gets a lot of NIL money to come back. They move him outside. He struggles outside. Does not do well outside. Much better at the nickel. His coach, Zach Etheridge, leaves Auburn, goes to Houston. Keionte Scott was going to leave Auburn and go to Houston to try to rehabilitate his game. Etheridge goes to Miami. He's now here. And like he never left, man. He's playing a position. He's comfortable with that nickel. Etheridge is his coach. Terry Jefferson is the nickels coach, but Etheridge is, in the building. And I like his game, man. He's fast. He's got size. Legit, probably 4.4 on the clock kind of guy at nickel, which you want. Speed there. Because otherwise, if you get a quick but fast guy, you can get the Philip Dorsett's of the world. Going to run down the seam and make you look bad. So speed, has good size. He's physical. He's played in big games. I think he is a day one impact player at the nickel position and someone you feel good about going against Notre Dame.
Yeah, big fan of his. I think the playmaking ability is there. The leadership he's brought right away. I mean, he's very appreciative of the moment. I talked to him on media day, and he says every day he steps in there and he looks up, he sees the All-American banners and the green tree. And I think after kind of having the down year that he had, and when you're on the NFL radar and then you kind of fall off a little bit, and then you see, man, I was supposed to go to the Senior Bowl. I was, projected mid-round sort of pick. And then all of a sudden, like 1 year later, that's not where I'm being projected. It's a bit of a wake-up call for guys at times. And I think he stepped into that room and brought some really good leadership, because we've brought in a lot of transfers, but these are still young transfers, right? Xavier Lucas, 1 year college football. Ethan O'Connor, really 1 year playing at Washington State. Charles Brantley is another nice vet that you're bringing. Damari Brown, he's a vet now at this point, but he hasn't played a ton of football with his injuries. So bringing him into that room in terms of the veteran presence was very important as well. OJ, 1 year of college football. So as much as we know how much talent there is in this room, there wasn't as much experience as maybe you would think for all the transfers that you brought in.
No doubt about it. It's a group with a lot of upside still.
Yeah, a lot of collective. It's collective experience, because when you put it all together, there's enough games played there. But you get where I'm going there.
100%. By the way, shout out to Lynn Fletcher, the Queen of Green Tree. Says Pringle's got that juice for sure. Running back rooms look like the champs they are. Power, speed, quickness, toughness, explosive. Appreciate you again, the Queen of Green Tree, fashion icon. I will say, with the running back room, that's a group that there's a lot of guys I feel good about, man. I mean, there's really no one I don't feel good about. And people say, yeah, you're a homer, you feel good about everybody. But that's a strong group. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, you put the pads on him, and he's making plays. He's got great quickness. He's a real runner. He's not just like a big play guy. Same as Pringle, not just a big play guy. Certainly elite speed, but he can break tackles as well. And the big guys, they look like NFL backs. They're big. I mean, Lyle, Fletcher, Marty Brown, just seeing those guys walk around, it looks the way you want it to look, especially when you go against a team like Notre Dame. So that's a strong room. It's a strong room. It's a healthy room, knock on wood. It's a deep room, because obviously it's not going to be healthy all year. We hope it is, but that's just the nature of that position. Guys get banged up. Feel very good about adding Marty Brown and then having Pringle and Wheatley-Humphrey as ready as they are, which I wasn't sure they were going to be as ready, because they're just young and they're not the biggest backs. I feel very, very good about the depth of the room. I thought you might have to use Lofton there more before Marty Brown came in, but now that all these guys are emerged, I think that could be more of a luxury that you do when it's appropriate as opposed to something you need to do. We got Zach flying down to Miami next Saturday. Can't wait. Enjoy it, man. It's going to be a fun trip. All right, so go ahead, Pete.
No, I was going to say, Josh Sarnoff says, don't know about you guys, but woke up this morning with a little bit of an elevated heart rate. That means the season is here. I did too, but that's because I was watching Tyron Evans highlights.
Yeah, my heart was elevated because I was doing a leg press, and I'm not the best at that. Not the best at that. My stretching needs to work, man. That's the hard part with legs for me is not the pushing the weight; it's the stretch.
Dude, I gotta you know what? I will say though, not to go too off track. I used to think it was the same thing for me, but that normally means you have a deficiency somewhere in your legs. It tricks you. You think you're tight, but it's really just weakness. So I don't know, man. Maybe want to look into want to get some work done there, man. Get with a specialist.
That's it, man. And listen, I know our running backs don't have that problem. And our nickels don't have that problem. They're physical as well. So we talked about Keionte Scott. Feel very good. 904 Hurricane says, Keionte Scott better be on point. He's covering Notre Dame's best receiver. Miami contains the run, and Keionte does a good job against Greathouse. It's a wrap. You mentioned Greathouse a few times in 904, and we could talk about that matchup over. Obviously, we will as we prepare for Notre Dame. I think the key with him is getting into him early. Don't give him a head of steam. He's fast. He can break tackles. I don't think he's the best route runner in the world. So to me, you got good corners. You got physical corners. You got a physical, athletic nickel in Keionte Scott. Nose to nose. Make him beat you with his route running. Don't give him a head of steam, which allows him to really use his size and strength at receiver to break a tackle and make big plays like he did in the playoffs. This is not a super productive receiver during the season. He's not a perfect receiver. Again, I think he has some route running issues, but the speed is there and he can make big plays. Don't let him build up speed. So another guy I want to talk about here, nickel, and you got to it earlier, Isaiah Taylor. We don't talk about him enough. Son of Jason Taylor, of course. His mother, Zach Thomas's sister. So the genetics on this kid is crazy. He's Mason Taylor's brother, who was a second-round pick of the New York Jets. He plays a lot, man, and he makes a lot of plays. He played for safety for Arizona, got on the field there. So it's not like a walk-on who's never played. This guy's played Power 4 football and knows where he's supposed to be. Obviously, genetics are good, but smart, tough. Finds his way to the football. He's been banged up in the past. He's healthy now. He's one of those guys. He's going to be in the field making plays, and someone's going to be like, hey, who is that guy? And it's going to be Isaiah Taylor. He plays. His ratio of like snaps played to, and this is probably our fault, like us talking about him is low because he wasn't a big name recruit. He wasn't a big name, transfer. But number 28, when you see him on the field, don't be surprised. That's Isaiah Taylor. He's worked hard. He's got very good instincts, and nickel's really where he makes his hay.
Yeah, again, Corey Heatherman singled him out the other day, so I have no reason to think he isn't going to play.
Yeah, he'll play, and then also at nickel, Chris Ewald, somebody we've talked about a bunch. The freshman out of Chaminade-Madonna, 4-star. We beat out Georgia to get him. He was a former Michigan commit to Jim Harbaugh, flipped him from there. So you had to beat out some big schools to get this guy for a reason. He's extremely smart, extremely well coached. His dad, his coach, has all done a great job with him. So he's one of those guys that you see him out there. He looks much older than he is in terms of the way he moves, the way he diagnoses things, how urgent he is. There's no second guessing. When he sees something, he's pretty aggressive to go get it, and usually is correct. I think he's still in the process of getting bigger. I think he said he gained like 20 pounds since he's been here.
He said he told me in media day that he was 155 pounds when he arrived at Miami in January. And yeah, he's put on, he's at like 175 now. So 20 pounds. And for a guy that plays that position, it's an adjustment to put on that weight and how do you move with it. But it seems like he's been good with it.
Yep, and I think when he gets to that 185 range, you're going to really see him blossom. But true freshman, I think he could play early because he's a guy that is smart, and smart plays when you're a freshman. So nickel group, again, I feel good about. People always ask you move Damari Brown to the nickel. Could you move Xavier Lucas to the nickel? Ethan O'Connor. We have so many outside corners. Charles Brantley with his size, you would think it made more sense there, but I think because you've added Keionte Scott and these other guys have emerged, you feel good about it. God forbid there's some serious injuries. Maybe move stuff around. But I think right now, the nickel corners you're looking at are going to be Scott, Taylor, and Ewald.
So let's move to the outside corner spot.
Wait, hold on, wait. Before we move to the outside corner, let's talk about some meals that could turn you from a outside corner into a safety real quick, because that's the portions we are talking about at Islas Canarias Express, the #1 Cuban restaurant on planet Earth, right there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. I got to go there for lunch today. I'm making the decision. I'm making the executive call. What time's the Kansas State game start, Pete?
I don't know, man. We got Brentford and Aston Villa right now. We got one match at a time here. Let me see.
Yeah, no, nothing makes you think of Saturdays more than Brentford and Aston Villa.
That's a noon start. So
all right, so we'll get so maybe I'll pick this up and then head home and watch that game. But yeah, 7 different types of croquette. That's award-winning. Chef's favorite, that kimchi mojo pork. I know it's Johnny Lagoon's favorite. The tostones, the sandwiches, the cubaritos, the loaded fries. If you can't find something you like here, you're not looking, because they got so many different options. They even have vegetarian stuff, and of course, all kinds of meat, steak, pork, the best pork in the business, chicken. You're not going to find better Cuban food anywhere in the world, including Cuba, because these are American ingredients with Cuban touch, and they got modern flavors as well. The shakes, the juices, everything else. The best in the business, Islas Canarias.
All right. Okay, so the outside corners group here, D, lot of intriguing talent. Corey Heatherman said a couple weeks ago, maybe like a week 9-10 days ago, that he feels comfortable with 5 guys playing right now, that it's going to be about a 5-man rotation. So I guess we can kind of get into what we think that rotation is going to look like.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. This is the position that is a story of camp for me, story of spring, really. So story of the offseason, which is that you have gone from a secondary, particularly a cornerback group, that you had Markeith Williams playing snaps at corner in the bowl game because you were so understaffed there. You were praying for Deani Hill to get healthy this time last year. Remember that? This time we were like, oh man, what people were asking about Deani Hill every day. He wouldn't have been, I was talking to someone about this. I mean, he wouldn't have been in the top 7 of these guys. This group has gotten so much better overnight. It's insane. Starting at the top, at least what I think is the top. And the truth is, I'm going to list you 4 names. There's more than that, but there's 4 names that really kind of stand out, I think. Of those 4, I've heard different people say that each one of those guys is the best guy we have. So that shows you how tight this competition is. Doesn't even get into Charles Brantley, who's a really, really good, not as big as these guys, but a really, really good playmaker. The most proven of all these guys, probably. So that's how deep this group is. But you go outside, you have to start, in my opinion, with OJ Frederick. I did that video. Oh, there's Nike. My guy Night King says, I was like, who is 28 in the scrimmage making plays? Someone's like, that's Jason Taylor's son. Definitely a baller for sure. I'm telling you, man, that's a very common refrain. Who's 28? So yeah, he'll do well in the nickel. But talking about the outside corners, I think OJ Frederick's one of the best players on the team. I think he's one of the best players in the ACC. I think he's one of the best players in the country. He has to do it. He's coming off that bad Syracuse game. I thought he had obviously a great freshman year, one of the best in the country as a freshman. But man, you see him now. He is bigger. He is faster. He's more assertive in terms of breaking on the ball. I think it just has that confidence that you need at corner where he knows he's good. He was confident as a freshman, but now he's confident as a player because he was freshman All-America. So he really is aggressive breaking on the ball, has ball skills, former wide receiver. You saw that last year. Tackled well all year. I just think this guy, we talk about Bain, we talk about Malinois, Carson Beck, right? Guys that could be that first round kind of guy, that household name player. Frederick to me is one of those guys where by 2027 mock drafts, they have this draft and right away the next mock draft comes out, Todd McShay or whoever. I could see those 2027 mock drafts right after this draft having OJ Frederick in the top 10 if he has a season that I think he can have. Just a complete corner. Go ahead.
No, and he was dealing with a shoulder thing, I think, during spring that he's over now. That I think it's he has more confidence now knowing that he's healthy there. I think that's been part of his progression physically as well. Put some good. He was already in a good spot last year, but I think continuing to get stronger is always a part of it. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a top 2 or 3 player on the team.
Yep. And really, when he's played because he worked his way back, but he's fully healthy. He's ready to rock. The playmaking is outstanding. Had a pick six the other day. I mean, this guy's completely ready to rock. I think in his mind, he looks at Leonard Moore from Notre Dame as the other best corner in the country. That's the other freshman All-America last year for Notre Dame was Leonard Moore. And I think those two, to me, are the two best corners in America that I've seen when I do my off-season scouting. Corners hard because you don't have coaches tape, so you're not. It's hard. You're more looking at just how they move and stuff, and just traits. It's hard to really break them down like you would other positions, because without the coaches tape, it's just particularly hard, at least for me at that position. But the two best corners I saw watching all the tape on the top guys trying to get ready for the season, OJ Frederique and Leonard Moore. So we'll see both those guys here. Not facing off, obviously. They're both corners, but they'll both be on the field August 31st, and we'll find out who the best freshman or the best young corner in America is. There's Birdstone. Appreciate you. Like and subscribe.
So Xavier Lucas or Damari Brown. Let's go to Damari Brown. He's been here longer, and he's the older player, but obviously came onto the scene freshman year. We were very excited about him. Had some really good moments. Was a physical player. Was playing at times like a big physical nickel role for Miami. Was blitzing. Was using the run game. Had a good game against Florida State his freshman year, and then only played 2 games last season with injury. There was, transfer portal rumors in the offseason that had people freaking out, but he solidified himself as, I would say, one of Miami's 2 to 3 best corners here.
Teams try to steal Damari Brown. They try to say, hey, these guys brought in a lot of corners, so that means he's susceptible to get tampered with, basically. And Miami made a commitment to him, and they're happy they did. There's people, I'm telling you, in the building that say this guy's been our best corner. People that know and people that have been around. So that catches my eye. Obviously, the physical with him, we talked about it before. I compared it to like David Njoku, where it's like you could draw it up better in pads. This guy looks like he's ready to knock someone's head off. He's also probably the hardest hitter in the secondary, even though he's a corner. He can run. He can cover. Comes from a family of DBs from American Heritage, a program that churns out DBs every single year. Xavier Lucas being another one who played his senior year at American Heritage. So this is a guy, man. We talked so much about the freshmen with Frederique and the transfers with O'Connor, with Lucas, Brantley. Damari Brown. This moment he came back halfway through spring, knock on wood, continues to stay healthy. He's going to be an impact player. And if you're playing Notre Dame with Malachi Fields and some of their bigger guys, nobody in this country, nobody, I don't care if it's Nick Harbor, name any big receiver in the country, nobody is bullying Damari Brown. I promise you that.
Yep.
Any thoughts there, Pete? I know. Or is your brain on Bradford?
I do have to get off here in a minute. I told you before.
We're good.
But I strong statement, D.
Give it to us. There you go. You were just warming up a strong statement.
I said that was a strong statement. I'm not.
Oh, you're not going to suppose. I didn't say it. I'm saying
that's superlative right there, man. I don't know.
Oh, which one? Physically, I'm not saying he's gonna lock everybody down. He's never gonna give up a catch. I'm not saying
that's kind of what you bullying. That's kind of part of it. It's not just the physical nature. If you're going to bully someone,
he's as strong as any receiver in the country, physical wise. He is a strong. Corners are not built that way.
I'd agree with that. I gotta do some research though, man. There has to be someone out there.
Hey, listen, Malachi Fields for Notre Dame is one of the more physical, big guys in the country. So, you got to respect what he does. But we'll find out, man. We'll find out on August 31st. Damari's going to be out there doing his thing. So I know you got to go.
He's not the only big physical type corner out there. You got Xavier Lucas as well, who I think just looks wise. If scouts are going to be going into Damari, looks a certain way too. Like we were just talking about, he's a big boy who's bringing the physical presence out there. But Xavier Lucas's movement skills at his size is pretty scary.
Like 26 says, Pete looking nervous about a hot take after the Wednesday show is wild. Yeah, that Wednesday show, man. I never got more text. The people were going crazy, man, over your appearance on there and the way you the way you brought the energy. Xavier Lucas. I say it all the time. There's a reason Wisconsin sued us. The guy's an incredible talent. 10.49 speed, 6'1", 6'2", maybe over 200 pounds, knows what he's doing. Another guy who's not really going to get physically overwhelmed in any matchup. He is over 200 pounds. And if you just see Xavier Lucas, like, he's just big. He's not a guy that's like, he's been just living in the weight room and bulking up. He's just naturally a big, heavy guy. That's why they always try to move him to safety. But because he's so fast, I think it's like Tyreek Stevenson, Stokes, those both from Georgia. Tyreek Stevenson obviously transferred here, where everybody was trying to move those guys to safety. So they were so big, but they were so fast and athletic that they're still playing in the NFL. I think Lucas is in that category. And I think that speed, right now you see it, but I think in games, you're really going to see it because you just cannot get vertical on this guy. And if he makes him, he's not going to be the most fluid guy in the world. Most 200-pounders are not. Those two guys I mentioned that are in the NFL, Stevenson and Stokes, they're not the most fluid guys. But when you're on a 4.3, you could not be perfectly smooth and make up for it because of your speed and your length. So he just has such unique physical traits. I like what he has going on between the ears. We'll see it in the game. Some of these guys are going to rise on game day, and some of these guys are going to drop. So that's a huge part of it. We're watching them in camp. We're seeing their physical tools under the lights. When a bad play happens, you got to be resilient. We'll really find out who is who and what's what. But I see no reason. Lucas has shown toughness as he's been here. He was good last year for Wisconsin as a freshman. I don't say if it comes together, because that would suggest that he's not doing it. If he can do what he's doing in practice and what he did as a freshman throughout his career, the next 2 years, another first-round pick, because guys just don't have the size and straight line speed this guy possesses. It's just rare.
He reminds me of Xavier Rhodes, another Xavier. Xavier, I just looked it up now. Combine-wise, Xavier Rhodes came in at 6'1.5". These are very verified things. So obviously Xavier Lucas is listed as 6'2", but probably will end up coming in at 6'1.5" at the combine. And Rhodes was 210 pounds with 33 3/4 arms and ran a 4.43, which again, Xavier Lucas is going to run in that range, maybe faster when the time comes. So looking back on it, Xavier Rhodes at 210, that's a big boy, but I think that's what you're looking at here.
No, it's great comp. I didn't realize Xavier Rhodes was that big. Miami Norland, we had so many misses that were just sneaky misses that just added up over time. Imagine a first-round corner just leaving just like that.
And by the way, 40.5-inch vertical, 11 broad.
He was, you know what? I'm not saying in terms of the size, because I don't know if Frederic will get up to 210, although Frederic's gotten a lot bigger. But in terms of his recruitment, similar to Frederic, because he was a wide receiver that kind of was also a corner and then became more of a corner and then obviously blew up, was a 3-star player, Xavier Rhodes out of Miami Norland, even though he went to FSU when FSU was recruiting well. I think he was on their championship team. So recruitment-wise, I do see some similarities between a Rhodes and an OJ Frederic. So I like that comp in general. Put it this way. When FSU was winning a ton, they had guys like Xavier Rhodes. We did not have guys like that last year. Hopefully this year.
That FSU defense was loaded when you look back on it. I know that it's been going viral. Jimbo saying that team was the most dominant team ever, which I guess by the numbers he's making some arguments. Not that I'm agreeing with it, but you look at the names on that defense, there were some freaks.
No, that was a good team. Obviously Miami 2001, just kind of different level Hall of Famers everywhere as opposed to, Pro Bowlers and first rounders. These were Hall of Famers.
I'll take Pro Bowlers and first rounders right now.
Oh no,
can we get back to that?
I think. Oh my gosh, no, that team was good. That team and the Florida team that had Tim Tebow and the Hernandez and the Pouncey twins. Those were really, to me, probably the two. Maybe I'm biased because of Florida, but everybody talks about LSU 2019. I think that Florida State team beats the brakes off. Not beats the brakes because no one's going to totally shut down Burrow and those two best receivers in the league. So, but I think that LSU team, 2019, is tremendously overrated. And I think that in terms of the best teams, obviously they're great for what they were. I think teams like Florida State, Florida 2008, Florida State 2013 are underrated in those battles because they're just way more complete than what LSU. LSU was a one-trick pony. It was a great trick. But when you play other elite all-time teams that have great players everywhere, I think it gets a little different. So that's one of my spiels is those two Florida teams. Obviously, Miami, we know is the best team of all time. I think that those 2013 2013 Knowles, which Jimbo's been talking about, and the 2008 Gators. Those teams really did not have a weakness. Very complete, very strong teams. And to me, in my opinion, better than 2019 LSU. I think 2020 Alabama might have been better than 2019 LSU. 2019 LSU gets a little too much hype because of how great the top 3 players are. Top 4 if you include Stingley, who's really good. So top 4 players, great. Stingley was a freshman. Beyond that, not as great. Not as great. A lot of average players relative to some of these other teams.
D, I have to hop off here. I'm sorry.
Get out of here.
I gotta go.
See you later.
Good job. See you guys later.
I'll keep rolling. So stay on. So all right. So let's finish the secondary talk here. At corner, we talked about Brown, Lucas, Frederic. Ethan O'Connor's right in that mix. This is a guy who had 4 interceptions last year, was a tremendous ball hawk as a freshman for Washington State. Easily could have been a freshman All-America. Was a starter, key guy for them. Played some big games, played against Washington, played against some other top teams. And just, man, you see him move. He's such an athlete. Georgia recruited him to be a starting corner. Miami won that battle over T-Rob, their old corner coach, who wanted O'Connor badly for his secondary. And I understand why, because this guy can take the ball away. He can move. He's fluid. We've seen that all in camp. And he's not that small. I mean, he's not small at all. He's actually, I would say, above average size. He's not as big. Like, I would say Frederic, Damari, Lucas, legit plus size, meaning like that's a strong advantage for them, how big they are. O'Connor, I wouldn't say is like that, but O'Connor's not small, man. He can move, and he is very, very quick, very talented. Question from Patrick Mahomes: what happened to Jadis Richard, the transfer from Vanderbilt? Big corner / safety. He's rehabbing that injury. He had an interception against Duke and tore his ACL, so he's been coming back. But he's he's been working, and he's making a lot of progress. I saw him moving around. He looked pretty good. So I like what I see from Jadis Richard. Also Ryan Mack, another one working his way back, who I think is going to be a really good player. And those guys are getting very close. Ryan Mack probably even closer. Mo was saying, asking, appreciate your support as always. Who are our top 3 cornerbacks to start? It's going to come from those 4, right? So it's the 3 guys I talked about earlier, and then Ethan O'Connor. He's in the mix, and he's one of those guys that you can put him in a game, then he gets a pick 6 or a big interception, and you're saying, wow, we need to get this guy on the field more, because he is a ball hawk. The 4 interceptions you saw last year, he's doing the same things in camp. He's just one of those guys who has a knack for the football. He's aggressive. He trusts his instincts, and he can run. So Ethan O'Connor would have been by far our best corner last year, along with Frederic. And then even beyond those 4, who I think are a clear top 4 NFL-type guys, Charles Brantley doesn't have the physical traits of those guys, but as someone mentioned in the chat, I think it was Kyle, he would have been our best receiver, our corner last year by a mile. This is a guy who played for Michigan State, produced for Michigan State, has made interceptions, taken him to the house. I think it was Dylan Gabriel he took to the house. He's intercepted C.J. Stroud. He's played in real games against real teams. He's a good tackler for his size. He's very undersized, but very aggressive. Just a straight, just a baller, man. Just someone with instincts and confidence that comes from inside and also comes from playing so many snaps in the Big Ten level. Dealt with injuries up there, the kind of nagging injuries. Obviously, the size is the thing. But Brantley's going to help us win games. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a game where we come back and say, man, that was the Brantley game. He had 2 picks or he took one to the house. He's just a playmaker, and he's going to find his way on the field, obviously against Notre Dame. And after that, he's going to find his way on the field. He's going to find a way to make plays. Kyle mentioned it. He was all Big Ten honorable mention last year. Yeah, this guy's a real player. So our corner group is beyond anything I could have ever imagined last year. But we got to see it on the field. I don't want to crown them too much before they've done anything. By the way, almost 1,200 on live. Please like and subscribe to the show. A couple other guys I got to get to. Jabari Antoine, who is someone a lot of people not say left for dead, but they forgot about because of his injury as a high school. I think he tore his ACL his senior year. So you didn't see him. He was here in spring early, but he wasn't practicing. He just wasn't generating a lot of hype, even though he was a 4-star that we flipped from LSU over in Louisiana. He's been making plays and moving up. Really, really nice young man. Interviewed him. He looks like he's like 12 years old in the face, and he's still pretty big. So that tells you, he's going to be a big corner or safety, but I think corner right now, he's doing so good. It's hard to move him off it right now. Man, the scrimmage last week, he was a star. We talked about with Seth Cooker, who was on the show yesterday, was at the scrimmage, Golden Cane, all that. I think we talked about Jose Perez too, but Jabari Antoine, he is somebody who, everybody was at that scrimmage is asking who's number 16 because he made a 4th down stop, flying around making a tackle. He was breaking up passes. He was just so active and aggressive, and he looked good physically with his height and the way he was moving around. I think the knee brace is off now. So Jabari Antoine's got the arrow pointing up. That's a hit, in my opinion. We'll find out for sure, but I think that's trending to be a hit in that class of 2025, which has been really, really good so far. Bryce Fitzgerald, we talked about earlier with the safeties, is another. But at Jabari Antoine, keep an eye on him when it comes to the cornerback position. By the way, if you're watching this as a standalone video and you're not hearing about the nickels, we're cutting this up as a separate video with the nickels and safeties. So that's why we're separating it there. But as far as outside corners, there's some names I should probably mention. Kind of going down the list. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody at that spot. Let's see the depth chart. I do not want to screw this up and leave someone out. I know it's early. By the way, appreciate you guys. Almost 1,200 on. Yeah, like and subscribe as we do this every Saturday. Breakfast with the Canes, one of my favorite shows. Get my morning coffee in, get ready for the season. So at corner, that, like I said, that top 4, top 5, they're gonna play a lot. They're gonna get a lot of action. I think that's it. We'll get Jadis Richard back, but yeah, that's the group, man. I think they're going to be very, very good players. I think there's going to be a strength of the team at the corner position. So I'm fired up. This is going to be the biggest difference, I think, on the team. Jets saying best cornerback group since 2005. Very possibly. We had a pretty good one with Mike Jackson and Corn Elder. I want to say Mike Jackson and D. Delaney. Those are all NFL guys. But I don't think DJ Ivey and Stevenson are NFL guys. But and it didn't play as well. Certainly Ivey did not play as well here. But I would say top to bottom, we talk about when you get to the 4th, 5th, 6th guys, I think you have to go with this group. On paper, they got to do it, right? They got to do it. So we'll see. But yeah, man. I gotta say, I was out late last night, fantasy draft, out till 2 a.m. It was very hard to wake up. I had to wake up at 6 a.m. to work out this morning. So if I was drinking alcohol, I would have been knocked out. But luckily, I got stuff like Buzzin', which is hangover-free, 7.5 milligrams of real THC infused with seltzer, all different types of flavors. You got the cherry, strawberry, watermelon variety pack. DrinkBuzzin.com. That's DrinkBuzzin, BUZZN.com. First order, use code FIRST50 for 50% off your first order. These are going to be in stores all over South Florida. They're basically getting delivered now. So I'll have some updated announcements on where you can find this stuff, but they're into the South Florida market. I'll have these all over the place at the pregame, at the lick, and getting ready for that Notre Dame game. But yeah, man, it's Miami. It's hot, or wherever you are. It's summer. It's hot. You want a cool, refreshing drink without the hangover. Buzzin' is the thing for you. Drink, BUZZN.com. All right, what questions we got? Well, we're going to go to some high school highlights too. I want to get into some of these guys. One of my favorite Sunday traditions is catching up on high school highlights. Let's take a look at our guy, Tyron Evans, wide receiver commit out of Charlotte, North Carolina, previously committed to Tennessee, flipped to Miami. They were really excited to get this guy who's super productive last year and somebody with a lot of big playability. As we pull up these highlights now, let's see what we got. There he is on the outside. He was a big, this is all, he just ran right by this guy. This is all he did last year. I think he had 21 or 20 plus yards per catch. He was one of the highest yards per catch guys in the state. Very short highlight reel, but doing what he does, right? Making plays downfield. That's kind of what Tyron Evans was known for last year. On3 said in the entire database of players they had, he had the highest yards per catch. So downfield guy, big body player. Justin Edwards, I promise you this gets in focus. So the camera, there we go. Here we go. Justin Edwards, we talked about him last week, the linebacker from Orlando, had a really, really, really good debut game, was intercepting pass. I think he had a pick 6, tons of tackles for loss. He's a rising player. I know 247 loves him with Andrew Ivins. One of the best testers. There he's number 0. Boom, blocks the punt. Touchdown. Nice and easy, baby. We could use some special teams impact like that. So the guy who had pick 6 last week, tons of tackles for losses, tested out of this world, legitimate 4-4 guy when he gets to campus. Here you see him. Nice tackle, good strike. He can rush the passer as well. You saw it on last week's highlights. So very versatile player. Also really good cover guy. He runs 4.4. He's got a lot of highlights. I think Verno Brown last year when they played him from Orlando, UF signee, one of the top receivers in the country, he was running down the field with him no problem. So, very impressed with J.J. Edwards, Tyron Evans. I think those were two good evals, the two guys we just highlighted. Evans a 4-star. I think Edwards, if he's not a 4-star already, will end up probably as a 4-star, certainly on 247. I think he's trending that way. So, yeah, just a couple young guys making plays. I know Darian Coleman had a really, really good scrimmage as well, or opening game, I should say, as well. I believe he had 300 total yards, 3 touchdowns, I want to say, running the ball, throwing the ball. So, a lot of love for Darian Coleman. When you just hear people who were at that game, he's impressing people. He's poised for a big season. Orlando Jones, one of the favorites in the state. It'd be nice for him to get a state championship game before he arrives at the University of Miami. That's Darian Coleman. So a lot of guys making plays. I don't know if you saw the American Heritage game yesterday against St. Joseph's. Diabell, Texas commit, American Heritage, led a big comeback that came back from way down, multiple scores. I think it was 3 scores down to win. And Diabell was making some great plays. I hate to say it because he's not going to Miami, but I'm a Diabell fan. I think he's a really, really good player. I think he's deserving of where he's at as a 5-star type quarterback out of South Florida. The reason Texas came all the way over here when they're traditionally the best state for quarterbacks. They came to South Florida for a reason. That Diabell can throw the ball, man. Great balance, good arm. Just really impressed with what he can do, and I think he's going to be a good player. Endeavor saying he's overrated. I don't know, man. I've seen him in many settings, 7-on-7. I've seen him in combines, then you're seeing him in games, and he's making plays. Made a lot of plays yesterday. I think he's got size. He's got bloodlines. He's athletic. He played multiple sports. He's got a good arm. He's got good mechanics. Smart. I think there's a reason why Texas went to get him. So I'm a fan. I gotta admit, and obviously I have no bias because why would I be biased? By the way, if you're not hearing enough partnerships already, this one I think is one you're gonna be excited about. If you are a Canes Insight member, which you guys all are, and use promo code CIS, you can get up to $1,000 to play Underdog Fantasy. $1,000 just for signing up with promo code CIS. That's CIS, Underdog Fantasy. And we got real games to play. It is Saturday. There's games going on. So I'm going Underdog Fantasy with my $1,000 sign up, and I'm playing that Avery Johnson plus 53.5 rushing yards. I like the over on the 53.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to have a huge day. I think it's going to be a monster year for Avery Johnson. Played under Will Howard 2 years ago. Got his feet wet then. Had a good season last year. Could have been better. Well-coached team. Good players around him. But a system that's really built around him, along with Dylan Edwards, the explosive running back. I think he's going to have a great year. I like Avery Johnson over the 53.5 rushing yards. Although, look, maybe we'll find out that he's not going to run as much this year, and he's going to focus on passing. But let's see some other ones they got there. I think rushing, he's just such a special runner. You have to use him that way. They got the passing yards 203, obviously a lower number because he's such a rusher. If you don't want to, decide whether it's going to be rushing or passing, you can go with the over or under 261.5 pass rush yards. But either way, use promo code CIS on Underdog Fantasy, and you get up to $1,000 just for signing up. CIS, Underdog Fantasy. We're doing these all year, all these predictions. Let me know what you think. I'm going over 53.5 rushing yards, Avery Johnson. All right. Shout out to TY's nephew. The Benjamin School came back from being down 21.5 to win their game. And shout out to Benjamin. Let's see what else we got here. Endeavor saying that Diabell's an underwear All-American because of his 7-on-7, because of his combine. I mean, he was playing a pretty good team yesterday on national TV on ESPN, top 20 team, and he brought him back from 3 touchdowns. So, it's pretty good. He said, but he also says Avery Johnson will be in Miami next year. That'd be interesting deal. We'll see how that goes. The Jews, appreciate your support. What's your score prediction for the game? I really want to drill down over the next week, and we'll be doing some Notre Dame focus shows. I've been so focused on us in camp. I think I'm never going to pick against us, so sorry. Don't use this for betting advice, but I'm never going to pick against us. I think the way I do see it playing out is it's going to be a close game. I think, Florida last year, I thought they sucked. And if you watched me before that all year, I said they're overrated. I don't see the hype. I think we're going to expose them badly opening game. I think it's going to be probably a blowout, and it was. I think with Notre Dame, They were in the finals for a reason. They were in the final game for a reason. Well coached, really good linebackers, really good corners, really good offensive line. Jeremiah Love, obviously an NFL first-round pick at running back. So good receivers too, veteran guys, not elite, but veteran, good guys, better than what they've had in the past. So I think it's going to be a tight game. I think the quarterback difference is going to be a huge advantage for us with their starting a true freshman quarterback in an offense that has not historically thrown the ball particularly well. It's been a while since Notre Dame was a good passing offense. So put that in a stadium in Hard Rock that gets extremely loud with the roof. We saw last time we played Notre Dame, they said it was the biggest, the craziest atmosphere that they've been in. And that's Notre Dame, who plays everybody all over the country. So all those factors, I think, are going to be in our favor. Carson Beck's played in bigger games than this. He's won bigger games than this. He played in a great opening game last year against Clemson, where he basically worked Clemson. So I think those things tremendously favor Miami. The fact that they've been there before, as far as Notre Dame, just how disciplined and consistent they are, those things obviously are going to benefit Notre Dame. They're just a more consistent program at this stage, a higher level program at this stage. Change real quick on August 31st. So I think it'll be a close game. It'll come down to turnovers. If you get their freshman quarterback turning it over, you're going to have a great chance to win. If you get their freshman quarterback turning it over, you got a great chance to win. If our veteran quarterback makes some mistakes, it's going to be a lot tougher. So cliche as it sounds, turnover battle, kind of who gets the ball last. I think it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be decided by a thin margin. Jet, appreciate your support. We're waiting on the preseason hype video. Listen, I've been working on it all weekend. That's why one of the reasons I'm not getting as much sleep. I've been doing that late night as well. That should drop, I think, Thursday, and it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one, I think. I think you guys are going to like it. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, been working on that one. Excited. It's my favorite part of the year. I probably spent more time thinking about the preseason hype video than all the 365 daily podcasts combined. It's sadly. Mo Hussein asking, why is Love so hyped with so little production? I don't think his production was little. Let me pull up his stats. He had 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns. That's pretty good. But then kind of the most eye-catching is 6.9 yards per carry. That's a lot. So I wouldn't say he has little production. I think that's really good production. They also have a good backup. So it's not like he's going to just have every carry and run for 2,000 yards. But I think he's legit. He's physical. He's fast. He has good instincts. He's a first-round pick for a reason. We got to stop him. Luckily, we got guys that can't stop him. We got good guys on our side running the ball with Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle, and the whole crew. Ralph says, don't forget that Beluga vodka, D. My Beluga days are done. But they're still selling out here in Sunny Isles down here in the northern part of Miami Beach if you want to get that authentic from Siberia. But those days are done for me. Albert's saying, I just saw the Jabari Antoine video. The kid looks like he's 10 years old. That's what I'm saying, man. He's young. So he's only going to get bigger, only going to get stronger, more mature, but he's already good. And the fact that he's battling back from that injury and competing and being aggressive, that is very, very positive for me. That mentally, he already had a lot of adversity early, and he's overcome that clearly with the way he's playing and just how hard he's playing. He's out there really, really busting it, trying to be better. So, yeah, man, I'm really impressed with what Jabari Antoine's doing mentally. Again, just because of his attitude, his resilience, and all that at a young age. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get faster. He's going to get better. So, big fan of what he does. If you weren't there yesterday, man, you missed out. It was an awesome event. Like I said, I'm sorry I couldn't see everybody. If you saw me there, say hi. Please feel free to interrupt. I'm there to hang out with everybody else. But there's Mario with Harry Rothwell. There's a real star of the show. I'm talking about Harry, of course, and Mario. This is at the Miami Hurricane team store. You saw a lot of great moments. Kids, adults, spent some time with Coach. I heard he was really, really gracious with his time. They went overtime because he's not just rushing guys in and out. He's someone that talks to people and gets to know them. That's kind of how he is. There you see the team store. Nice game in the background to remind everybody how bad the Gators are and how badly we defeated them there in the opening game last year. Quite a humiliating defeat that reverberated all year. But then you see all these guys. I hope they're using promo code INSIDE20 for 20% off their first item. You tell my man Jeremy right here. You see the guy with the shaved head. You tell him Canes Insight 20. He's slapping that 20% off the first item every time. Plus, Miami Hurricane Team store is online at MiamiHTS.com. A great event there. Appreciate you, Jay. Yeah, those storm sessions are fun. Akeem Mesidor was an awesome interview, 260 pounds. Looks great. Just a really great attitude. Ottawa, Canada's finest. It's interesting to have a guy has that background, right? You don't see too many guys from Ottawa playing big time football, but he was awesome. All those storm sessions are great. I love getting to know these kids. They're all different, their families and everything else. Armando Blunt came out yesterday. He is just awesome. He's one of my picks as far as I support everybody, right? All the players on the team, and I support all their different, what makes them great, right? What makes them unique. I want to kind of highlight their positives and what they can do. But in terms of like kind of my guys that I really, really just love their game, besides the obviouses, the Mauanoas, the Bains, etc., just guys that I love their style of play. You would have to put Fletcher in there, Elijah Lofton, Malachi Tony, Armando Blunt. Those are I just love how those kind of guys play, their instincts, their toughness, their intelligence, their personality, their consistency, their versatility. Those are guys that I'm particularly high on. For me, just my personal style of player, and certainly Armando Blunt's one of those. He's going to be outstanding. I love them all, though, man. I've being around the team more. You really root for these guys' success, and it's a good group, good families. This is a really strong team. That's why everybody around here is very, very confident. So, up to almost 1,300 on the show. Like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody joining us here. Breakfast with the Canes. We put out videos all day and tomorrow. It doesn't stop. It does not stop all the way through Notre Dame and beyond. Again, like and subscribe. Appreciate your support. Go Canes.